KPD's focus and attention to address the ongoing surge in violent crimes. We also know that interrupting violent crime to prevent these tragedies requires community partnership. So next week, I'm going to be asking City Council to support a $1 million budget amendment to jumpstart community-based violence prevention and interruption programs that have proven effective in other communities. So we'll be talking more about that later, but today we really want to talk about KPD's response and the help we need from the community. So Chief Thomas, please speak to that for us.
Thank you, Mayor Kincannon. Looking at the two recent shootings that resulted in the deaths of 16-year-old and 15-year-old Austin East students, our investigators are making progress in those investigations. We are not at a point where we can release anything publicly, but I can say we are absolutely making progress, and we will update you when appropriate to do so. That being said, we still need help. We need somebody, anybody, who witnessed either of those events or has information that might be relevant, no matter how small or seemingly inconsequential, to our investigations, to come forward and volunteer the information that they have. We understand all of the reasons why somebody would not want to volunteer or offer that information. We really and truly do. But we want to emphasize that anybody with information can remain completely anonymous if they choose to do so. You can reach out to us in a variety of ways. You can email violentcrimes@knoxvilletn.gov. That's violentcrimes@knoxvilletn.gov. You can call the KPD Crime and Drug Hotline at 865-215-7212. It was 865-215-7212. And that line is not recorded. It is truly anonymous. You can message us on our Facebook page. We will take tips or information, however you can get that to us. We just need the information, and we will take it however we can get it. Looking beyond those two cases and the next steps forward, I would like to talk a little bit more about the actions that we're taking specifically to address violent crime. Looking specifically at Austin East High School, we are increasing the number of school resource officers at the school by adding 3 additional SROs. We are also increasing the presence and visibility of patrol officers in the streets around Austin East and Vine Middle School around dismissal times. Speaking more widely, as I mentioned this morning, we are reevaluating how and where our officers are deployed. These resources will be deployed thoughtfully in hotspot areas where violent crime is occurring or likely to occur. We will be very active and intentional in our patrol efforts. We'll be out on foot, we'll be walking in neighborhoods, we may be riding bicycles, but we will be talking to people. It will be noticeable, and it will all be done in a direct effort to address violent crime. I want to again mention the Violent Crime Reduction Team, as that initiative, which includes both uniformed and undercover personnel, is underway and has resulted in the recent arrests of several known violent offenders. Those are just a few of the steps we are taking to address this uptick and prevent future violent acts. Thank you again.
All right, everyone, both the chief and the mayor are going to stand by to take your questions. Please submit them in the chat feature. All right, our first question is from Katie Inman from WBIR. It says, from October 26th through November 9th, 5 teens were caught in the line of fire, 3 were wounded, 2 17-year-olds and a 12-year-old. Wasn't that a crisis point? Why did it take 3 killings for you to call this a crisis point?
I'll take that question, and then Chief Thomas, you can speak to it too. We have been responding. We haven't been waiting for more people to be suffering. We've been responding the entire time. We've been working on short-term interventions and changes and adaptations with law enforcement, and we've been working on reimagining public safety, these alternative ways to prevent and interrupt violence. So we haven't been waiting. Chief Thomas, you want to add to that?
Yeah. I would just like to echo that very same comment, that we have not been waiting. We have been investigating. We are concerned with the children, especially the children in our community. And we are concerned with the gang violence that's going on. And we have been, and we have had a violence reduction team. We have reinforced that team reinfused that team with more manpower. And we're trying to address specific hotspots, which we had done all along, but we are redoubling our efforts even now.
All right, our next question is from Monica Cast at the News Sentinel. Many people associated with Austin East High School have concerns that violence in the neighborhood around it are affecting some of its students unfairly, leading to associations between the school and the violence. What can you do to prevent those associations?
Well, I'll speak to that first, and then Chief Thomas, I'll let you address it as well. I was a member of the school board for 10 years and a project grad board member for that duration of that time, and a chair of the school board. I've spent many evenings attending events and performances at Austin East. I've been hearing from their valedictorians, and I know that school is a safe place. It's a place where people are learning. And today we had many school board members and school leaders at our press conference just to represent that we've been in communication with them. We are responding to their requests for greater KPD support in conjunction with that. But to reiterate, and Evity Satterfield, the school board representative from that part of the county, stipulated this too. Austin East is a safe place. The issues with violence are happening in the community, and it's affecting the kids when they're outside of the school. And that's where we are focusing our efforts to protect the innocent, protect the school, protect the children and students and staff who are in that school. Austin East is a safe place, and we just have to keep reminding people of that, and also making sure that we can keep people as safe as we can once they step outside the school. Chief Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, and the other things that we're doing are, our SROs, we're trying to build relationships with those students, because what goes on outside the school can affect the students when they come to school. But we are also patrolling those neighborhoods. Unfortunately, in the era of COVID, neighborhood meetings have seemingly come to a halt, but we're reaching out again. That's one of the efforts that we are making, and trying to get some neighborhood meetings started again, either virtually or in person, where we can provide social distancing that makes people comfortable. That has hampered us. Our interactions with the community on a personal level have hampered us, but we feel like we need to. That's why we are putting more officers out now. We're trying to reallocate some resources that we have in that area, so we can stop and talk to people and find out what they've seen, what's on their minds. And we need to be aware of what the community knows, and we need to do that in a personal way.
Chief, this next question is directed to you, Tyler Whetstone from KnoxNews, saying, please be as specific as you can. What were police doing in the neighborhood prior to last week? And what else other than what you mentioned, Chief, will be done now?
Well, prior to last week, we had our violent crime reduction team out in the areas where there are hotspots. I can't talk about tactical efforts. We need to keep those until we can make our arrests public and make those. We can't talk about some of the undercover efforts, but we are very aware of the gang affiliations, the gang crime that we have going on, and we are monitoring that and following that and trying to predict what is going to happen. We are out making arrests. I know you asked me to be as specific as possible, and I apologize. I just can't.
All right, Chief, this next question is also for you. This comes from Jordan Brown at WATE. There were some residents at the press conference this morning sharing their concerns about sharing names with law enforcement, but no arrests have been made. Some also say they are giving their names. Have any of these tips been helpful?
So, these names, and I have followed up with our criminal investigators, our investigators working on these specific cases, and we have seen some things on social media. We have followed up. Everything is helpful. Anything we can get, we want. So we will follow up on anything, but if we can get somebody to come forward specifically and talk to us so we can ask additional questions, that information is the most beneficial. So yes, if we have to have evidence to make an arrest. The tips help, and hopefully we can develop, anonymous tips help, and we can develop evidence based on those anonymous tips. That's why we follow everything. We pull every string that we can. But people coming forward to say what they've seen is crucial. It is crucial to us. So I would really appreciate in any tips at all, but people coming forward for sure will help.
This next question will go to Mayor Kincannon. It's about reimagining policing, which we've spoken a lot about. This is from Scott at the Compass. Many activists over the past year have spoken out against heavy-handed approaches to law enforcement. Please reconcile the increased police presence in East Knoxville with the city's efforts to reimagine policing.
Well, a couple things I'd like to say to that is, first of all, the people in the neighborhoods that are experiencing homicides and shootings, they want more help from the police. I've heard from them loud and clear. They want protection. They want to feel safe in their community. They're tired of shootings, and they want KPD and the city to help catch the bad guys. The vast majority of the people in our city and in East Knoxville and every other part of the city are law-abiding, good people just trying to live their lives. And it's our responsibility as law enforcement to ensure that the people who aren't committed to doing that are arrested and face the consequences of breaking the law, and particularly for violent crimes. I mean, the people who are in these neighborhoods want the police to help. As far as reimagining policing, that's been an ongoing process that we've been working on since last June, when the whole country was affected by the murder of George Floyd. And so we've had a series of community meetings, and we've had an internal task force about reimagining and public safety innovation. And that is the basis for this proposal I'm going to be bringing to City Council next week. I was planning on bringing that proposal as part of the regular budget thing, but because of this crisis, I'm going to move it up and start seeking to get funds for those efforts starting next week if council approves.
Chief, do you want to weigh in as well?
Yes, just a couple of comments. Thank you. The reimagining policing is going to be a huge help to us as officers so that we can focus on those violent crimes. It's a community-wide effort that will get assistance from other city departments and the community, and it will be beneficial to us as a police department and allow us to address violent crime while making connections within the community as a city and as a police department. It's a very positive thing that I'm looking forward to.
This next question appears it would be better suited for Knox County schools. I'm going to ask it in case either the mayor or the chief want to weigh in, but it says, do you believe the Austin East area would be safer if students went to virtual learning for the foreseeable future? The follow-up question was, have there been any talks of that happening? Of course, that would be directed towards Knox County schools, but Chief Thomas, do you want to weigh in on this?
I'm not an expert, but as a parent, it's important to be in school. It's important for kids to interact with each other. I saw this in my own son during his senior year, where the last semester he didn't get to go to school. And I think students can bond and they can grieve together in a place that they're familiar with. And they're able to have relationships and see and talk to each other. And learning in person, I think, is more effective. And again, that's just my opinion. I'm not an educator. But just from what I see as a parent, mostly, I think it is so important for those students to be in school. And that's why we are focused on these efforts to make them safe in school and make the area around the school safe, so that there is no fear for them to be in school or to leave school in the afternoons or come to school in the mornings. We have to make that a safe area, not only in school, but around the school. And that is the nexus of our efforts together.
Mayor, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, I would just like to add that as I mentioned before, Austin East and Vine and Green and other schools across our county and city, those are safe havens for our children. That's why when our schools did have to close down last spring, and in some cases the families have opted for virtual, it's a loss of a safe haven for some families, where they're able to get food, where they're able to get counseling, where they're able to get emotional support and help in addition to the academic learning. So obviously that's a decision of the Austin East leaders and the school leaders, but I echo Chief Thomas's comments that we need to make it safe for in-person school so they can come and go to school and enjoy the benefits of being a regular teenager. Everybody deserves that opportunity.
The next question is for the chief. Katie Inman from WBIR wants to know, do you believe yesterday's shooting was gang related?
I think that it's too early to say that. I can tell you that we have gang violence in our community, but I think we cannot say that definitively yet. We are looking at all of our options out there. We're looking at all known offenders and people who are around our violent crimes.
All right, our next question is also for you, Chief. Jordan Brown from WATE says, is there any concern about increased patrols in these areas? Increased patrol methods like stop and frisk were unpopular in other cities. How will KPD increase patrols while also making sure residents don't feel targeted?
Right. And that is a hard balance, and that is something that we work on a daily basis. So increasing patrols, seeing more police cars, we're wanting that to be reassuring, and seeing more officers on foot. We want to be on foot as much as we can, talking with people. We will be addressing any probable cause stops that we can make. You know, I mentioned in the press conference this morning, a friend of mine called, he was pulled over, but he was pulled over for an expired tag. That was probable cause. We're gonna pull people over that we don't know that are committing some type of violation to find out who they are. It's not necessarily to write a whole lot of tickets or citations. I mean, we have an option of warnings now, but to place people maybe who don't belong in an area there and find out why people are coming into an area. And also, you know, we want to know who you are. We want to understand who our community is. If you live there, we want to know you. We want to know that you belong there, and we want to be able to say hi. And if is everything going well, you know, the weather's not real conducive right now to being out on bikes and walking, but we can definitely do that.
All right, this next question can be for both the mayor and the chief. Katie Inman again with WBIR. We know Austin East is installing more cameras and KPD is adding more SROs, but our viewers want to know if more cameras can be put up in the East Knoxville area. Is that being considered right now?
Chief Thomas, I'll let you take this one first.
Okay. Yes, that is being considered. We have partnered with other agencies around us who have these cameras, and they have had great success. And so we have looked at that. We have applied for grant money, and we are considering that, and we hope to have that happen in the very near future.
All right, this one is also for the chief. This is from Tyler over at KnoxNews. What beat or patrol is being taken from to accommodate 3 new officers to AE? Are these new hires? Is KPD having to reorganize to provide this extra SRO support and patrol support?
So the extra SRO support, we are working very closely with Knox County School Security, Chief Padusis over there, so that we don't leave any schools uncovered. But we wanted to be able to provide extra security at Austin East. So we are working with them and what officers we can pull from. We feel like we can do that in a very safe manner. As far as the extra patrols in the area, we are reorganizing our schedule. We are doing a schedule change with our officers to be able to provide more manpower. And that's, you know, it's something that it's going to be difficult. It's going to mean a shift change for our patrol officers in the way we do business, but it will provide more coverage and more ability for us to be out in that area on a regular basis.
All right, Chief Scott from the Compass wants to know, many of the shootings in the city are related to drugs and gang activity. Have you been able to quantify an increase in gang activity? Please describe how gang and drug-related activity has changed in recent years.
Well, and I don't have specifics in front of me. Anecdotally, yes, gang and drug activity has gone up. In our experience, they go hand in hand. Gangs and drugs go hand in hand. So as we attack, if we get complaints on a drug house, as we attack drug problems, we are also finding that we are attacking that gang problem as well. So those do go hand in hand, and they have escalated, and we are, you know, working the best we can. But again, part of that has to do with, we need information from the community, because that helps us proactively stop something before it happens. If somebody notices a lot of traffic in a house and we get these types of complaints, let us know, because we want to check it out. Have we had somebody move a drug house into your area? That's part of what we do. And yes, there has been an uptick, and yes, we are trying to address it. And again, one of the things that has hampered us is not being able to have citizen police academies, not being able to have community meetings. So we are trying to start that, instead of putting it off, trying to start that in a safe way in the area, in this arena that we call COVID.
All right, next question is for.
I would just like to add that in our conversations with school people and with youth serving organizations, they interact with the kids on a routine basis, and they are telling us that there's an uptick, that the gang activity is up. Gang, just people talking about it, saying they're trying to be recruited. So we have a gang issue. We have an illegal gun issue. Not young people are getting access to guns through all kinds of means that are not legal. And when you have those two things combined, you have an uptick in violence.
All right, Mayor Jordan Brown from WATE asks, are you able to go into detail about what the funds in the proposed $1 million budget amendment would go toward? What kind of violence prevention initiatives?
I'm not prepared to speak in great detail about it, but the general premise is that it's going to be things that go under the category of group violence interruption. In other cities, this has worked well. They've called it in other cities Operation Ceasefire, Cure Violence, and there are other names. And we've been working for several months with Cities United, which is an entity that helps cities and communities work on this violence interruption models. Some of the models that they use follow a public health model, which we're all quite familiar with. How do you have an issue, and how do you stop the spread of a virus? And violence can be treated as a virus too. And we want to, when we see violence, we want to stop the spread, stop it from retaliation, and interrupt it. So those are the models we're looking at. We'll have more details in the days ahead.
All right, the next question is for the chief. This comes from Tyler at KnoxNews. How long will the increased patrol and SRO enforcement be implemented? And Chief, I know through conversations, I don't think we've actually pinpointed a time frame on this.
We have not, and we will continue discussions with our partners in the school system, and we will see, how many arrests we make, and we'll know when we make a dent in the gang and drug problems and the activities in these areas. And we may scale them back at that point, and we may not. I think that's going to have to be an ongoing evaluation.
That leads us into our next question, which is from also over at KnoxNews from Isabel Lohman. How will KPD assess success with the increased patrol and SRO presence? What metrics will be used to determine if this approach is working?
Well, I think the community will be safer because we will be stopping the sale and the proliferation of drugs, and we'll be addressing the gang violence. We'll be making arrests. We'll be partnering with youth serving organizations and making sure that they are safe places for our youth to go, so that they are not interested in being in a gang. I think what we'll see is less violence, and that will be that's the absence of crime is a success.
All right, are there any more questions? Jordan Brown just punched in. We have been talking about the awareness of increased gang activity. What specifically is being done about gang violence near AE?
So we've talked about that, increased patrols, increased SROs, but we also have partnered with the schools. We've done some training. Our gang intel officer has gone out and done some training with the school staff. We're looking at some other training. Can we do it with community members? Can we do it with students? I think the more people are aware and know what to look for, the more that we will be able to address the issues that are there when people start partnering with us and letting us know what they're seeing.
All right, everyone, we are nearing the 3 o'clock hour. Any more questions? Give me one more second. I don't see anyone typing. Alrighty, I think that will do it this afternoon. Thank you all for joining us, and Chief and Mayor, thank you so much. And just so you guys know, hopefully we will be continuing to update you guys. We will reach out with any additional information. Thank you.